Ready? Oh, we're back to the foggy lens time of year. There we go. It's also just a really cool foggy morning. Oh, look how fast our strawberries are filling out this Greenstalk. It's Saturday, and this is not a garden tour, as you may well notice, with all the rain that we've had this week. And then Maya getting stung yesterday, he ended up having to go get a steroid shot because he did Benadryl, and we did like all of the remedies, many of the things that you guys suggested we had already done before we posted the video. And the swelling just kept getting worse and worse. And so he finally went in and got a shot, and he's doing better today. But I didn't shoot a garden tour, so we're gonna skip this week and we'll pick it back up next week, and it'll be a pretty drastic difference by next week because things are growing really fast. Benjamin's on his way out here. He told me that Toby and Esther just went and laid back down in bed. They ate breakfast and went back to bed. I can't say that I blame them. It is a really dreary early morning, and there's a storm coming. Mornings like this are some of my favorite mornings, where it's been raining a lot, it's been storming, and it's about to start again, and it's just like this hush over the whole garden that I love. Hey little dude, what's up? Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
So pretty. I don't think it needs watering.
I want to.
Well, it rained a lot. You can go water it. It won't hurt it. It'll just drain out. Can y'all believe this Ragged Jack kale right here? Look how massive this is. That little guy there. I've already picked so much off of this. This, I think, is just a great testament to what happens when your plants are well fed. This right here is one plant from one seed. I get a lot of questions about fertilizing, and it's kind of hard for me to answer those because I've done so little. In the past, the only thing that I've ever fed my garden with was compost or manure, aged manure. Of course, we have alpaca manure that is cold, so it can go directly on the garden, and I've done that. I had a friend that lived near me that kept rabbits, and we would get just 5-gallon buckets full of manure from her and make compost teas and pour it on the garden or just put it directly on into the soil. Is pretty much the extent of what I've done aside from compost. And what I do is every season, the beginning of the spring and then the beginning of the fall, before I plant, I make sure that we put down another 2 or 3 inches of compost on top of the beds, just kind of topping them off. Some of the soil ends up washing away out of the beds, or it gets compacted down or gets pulled out. We're able to add a little bit every year, and that's been pretty much the extent of fertilization for me. But these plants getting so big, that's just because they were top dressed with compost. Those had volunteered in this bed, and we just came through and put the compost around them as we amended for this season, and they look like that. It's amazing. Seriously, those are huge. Aren't they, Bear? Bear just always acts so bored with me. But he's fun as long as he's where I am. It's so funny. The only time I ever see him get even remotely like riled up, you know, like he just acts like this all the time as long as he's with me. But if I am gonna leave him inside whenever I'm going outside, then he starts running around and stuff. Like, he doesn't like being left behind, but I'm a little lazy dog. Over here, this bed doesn't have just a lot planted in it, but look at this. I'm pretty sure those are holy basil sprouts right there that are coming up, because that's what was here last year, was holy basil, and they definitely look like it, which is really cool. See all these onions down the middle of this bed. I just wanted to see the status of those the other day because I wasn't sure like how far along those onions would be, and I pulled one of them up, and it was still small. It was still too small to really like harvest to keep, but it was big enough to eat, and it was so good. I just ate it raw. It was like, it's probably about this big, little sweet onion, and these are the kind that get really big, so I definitely want to give them some more time, but it was really, really tasty. So this is interesting. That is a zinnia growing in the walkway, which is not great because we're gonna have to mow this walkway. So I may move that up into a bed because it looks really healthy. What do you think, Bear? Here comes the rain. It's starting to rain. Ezra finally came out. Just as soon as he walked out, the rain started. Take refuge in the greenhouse for a minute. Look at these roses. Aren't they lovely? Looking so pretty. There's this one. This is really lovely. It's obviously not as full as some of the other ones that I have, but I really like it. And here, this is my David Austin, Olivia Rose Austin, and then this is a Lady Gardener from David Austin, and that one's really taking off, but this one's starting to get some fresh growth and look really good. Actually, all through here, the stuff that I've planted is coming up. Now I've got some grass that needs to be pulled out. This is just weeds, but you can kind of see where several of the things that I planted intentionally here are starting to come up and fill out. And some of these things look kind of sparse and puny. This is a big hunk of thyme that I pulled out of the garden where I had those big things of thyme growing, and I stuck it over here, and of course it looks kind of rough now, but it's already starting to kind of take root and be fresh. And here's some cosmos that I moved in here, and they were just tiny little puny starts, so they'll fill out really nice. And here, just wow, these things are all taking off. Everything that's in this bed was either a tiny start or a bulb, and it looks like this now. Bindweed, it's everywhere. One thing that I need to do for these beds is mulch them, but I'm not entirely decided how I want to do that yet. I know that in my garden beds I use straw mulch, which I like, especially for the purpose of the garden beds, but some of these places I think maybe, and especially in the perennial garden, once things are up, may benefit from some wood mulch. It's a little more permanent, or it lasts a little longer. It will break down eventually, and I'm thinking that might be what I do, but I need to do something because eventually it'll all fill out and I won't have to deal with weeds nearly as much. But as of right now, there's a lot of weeds. I've been pulling weeds out here a lot, and there's still a lot to pull. But the things that are down here are just growing beautifully. You can see here, like the hydrangeas that I put here just look gorgeous. And one day I'll plant peppers in my garden. I feel like I've been down here being like, I'm gonna plant peppers in the next couple of days for 2 weeks now. But truly, whenever I said I was gonna wait to plant my peppers, I had planned on waiting until May 15th, which was yesterday. So I'm really not behind at all what I had originally intended, and I really feel like waiting to put them in is really going to pay off. Now, the reason why I waited is that peppers don't like cool nights, and from what I've been told, peppers can be stunted by cool nights. And I don't know 100% if that's true or not. I do know that the first year that I put in my big garden and I grew a 4 by 28 foot bed full of peppers, we were so covered up in peppers. I ended up having canned jalapenos for I think 2 years after that. Like, that's how long those lasted. There were so many. The following 2 years, 3 years, gosh, how long has it been? Anyway, since then, I've not done very well. My peppers have always been puny things, and I think it's because then I had all my garden beds built. I had to wait that first year. I didn't plant them until mid-May because we were building the beds. And then after that, I put all my peppers out with my tomatoes, and that's the thing that I think is the factor that I look at and go, that's really what happened. Because I've had some successful peppers, but they were all ones I bought from starts from other people, therefore I put them out later. I decided to test the theory this year though and leave all my peppers in the greenhouse until mid-May, and here we are. And I'd planned on planting them yesterday, but it rained the majority of the day, and then I'd planned on planting them today, but it's like 8:30 in the morning right now, and it's starting to rain. Thought we were gonna have a little more time today. I was pretty bummed to miss a garden tour, but then I also feel like really excited because I feel like the garden is gonna wow everybody next week because so much happens in a week, and now it doesn't feel like a ton has happened, but I can see some growth, and by next week it's gonna be like really seriously whoa. These really are my favorite mornings, even though it's raining on and off. Mornings like this, after a heavy rain or right before a storm, everything feels so alive, and it just feels so fully out of my hands, you know, like whenever you're in nature and you're just like, wow, and you realize how very small you are. Like, that's kind of the feeling that I get on mornings like this. And I never thought that I would feel that as fully on a little farm like this as I do. I remember when we first moved here, I would have that feeling. Like, after moving from in town, I would sit on the porch in the morning, listen to the geese in the pond across the street, and I would just feel so small, like so much was going on around me that had nothing to do with me, that I was just privileged to get to witness and experience. And I don't know, I think I thought that the more you cultivated a place, the more you might lose that. And I suppose sometimes this property and our farm feels somewhat domesticated. I mean, there are definitely tasks that don't have that feeling about them. You know, I mean, like when the goats are lining up to be milked, or like different things like that. Like whenever you're doing things that are very clearly domesticated, you don't really have that feeling. They're still wonderful tasks. I mean, it's still really enjoyable, but it's not quite the same feeling. But on mornings like this, it still has that. And it's crazy to me to look around at everything that we've built and everything that we've done, but still feel captivated by the wildness of it. I think if I had to try to put the feeling into words that I have on mornings like this, that's what it would be. I feel captivated by the wildness that is still able to exist with all of this domestication. Yeah. Well, guys, I think this may be pretty short, for which I am sorry. I'm gonna put the camera down though, so I can try to knock out some work. I think it's supposed to start raining heavy for another 2 hours, and I want to get as much planted as I can, because then it's gonna rain for a couple of days. So I'm gonna get to it. I will say farewell for now. We'll be back next Saturday at noon with a garden tour, and I'll be catching you up on all of that stuff. But in the meantime, we'll catch up on the vlog. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I bless you. Until next time.